one thing I notice off the bat is your goal is
I
super
knew this would
high for
happen.
a first campaign. Is there any way you can get that lower at all, Javen? Or is it
There
like you
might
need that
be-
exact amount?
That's why it's such a specific number, right? So
Okay.
I was just saying, did you break down? Do you have a chart breaking down your budget for people in the campaign?
I break down in here. So because the big portion of it, and this is a large reason why I chose to crowdfund this first, is to pay for the production of it, right? Because like I just can't put in the time to like produce this, at least this quickly, without compensation for it, right? So I mean, and I'm trying to be like judicious, right? About like, okay, what's the smallest amount I could do it for, and that's kind of it. Of course, I'm like, there's some buffer just to like I have to be able to cover fees and make sure this actually gets to people, so that's in there too. But yeah, I don't expect it to get much lower unless there's something that like I've just missed and that I could, take out a big chunk of my guessing.
So can I just throw out real quick, what would that number be without the compensation?
Without it, see, I think like 30% goes to production. It'd still be pretty high.
Is this your only job, or do you have other work?
I do have other work right now. And like ideally, I would like to do this, right? That's the dream. But this is just like as it comes and goes, basically.
Yeah. So one of the things I've noticed with Kickstarter is that it's almost like the compensation part you almost kind of have to like not account for and hope that you overperform into compensation. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like Kickstarter I've come to find is like getting the book made as opposed to getting paid from the book. Right.
Well, it's a balance.
At least that's my perspective. I don't know about it. Tony, if you want to chime in on that, or Keith.
Well, one thing I will say is like you don't want to be in the position where you don't make enough and then you're kind of like gotta, you're putting in your own money at the end to ship stuff out, things like that. So it's hard. It's hard to find that right balance. Like, because even with my campaigns, I tend to go lower than I actually need and then hope it overperforms, like Johnny was saying. So like with my Mighty Mascots, like I actually need probably about $8,000 to do the issues properly, but my campaigns are usually like 4 or 5, so that I always hope to overperform,
But in his case, he is illustrating, writing, doing a majority of the work himself. So he doesn't have to pay that out to people. So whatever he gets, whatever over, say you remove compensation because it's your own work, right? Whatever he gets beyond like shipping and, actual logistics, printing, things of that nature, that should be the real number. And then anything after that, the overperforming after that, that's your compensation. And that's where you hope, okay, I can hit it hard. But to kind of bake it in already, you give people that sticker shock needlessly, And that's my perspective. Yeah.
Tony, what did you have a thought on this?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I'm the best example to go for, because with Star Noir, I basically put all the chips on red and let it ride, which is not recommendable. But luckily, people really gravitated towards the idea, and that's how I got over the 10K. But if it was like my first campaign, if it was like Reloader, I would really just like bring it back down to like, what is the amount it needs to cross for this thing to even exist? And just everything else after that is a bonus.
One thing I was going to say, Javen, how it says volume 1. So how big of a book is this?
So this is essentially like an issue 1 and 2. Although it's not like super strict on it. Like they're kind of like chapters, right? So some of them are 26 pages, and then some of them are 24 pages. Some of them go a little bit longer. So
have you thought about just doing like one single issue and getting it down to like a just a single issue level, which might cut the goal in half, maybe, that's
true. Yeah, and I know it's good to hear like all the different strategies for this. So
absolutely,
the thinking behind this is that like one, it's honest, like that's what I would need to like fully do it. And yeah, I get that like sometimes you just gotta.
Well, what if you thought about it this way? Like if you did just a single issue, but you could have the second issue as a stretch goal. So like say you do overperform and you make like 9 or 10 grand, then you'll unlock the second issue as a bonus for the people. You know, something to think about that way.
What I would do, I would run volume 1 with a reduced rate, hope it does well, and then save volume 2 for a separate campaign. And then volume 2, you could overperform because whoever didn't buy volume 1 then would hop on, and you could sell volume 1 and on volume 2 as well. So and then you basically,
and then plus all of the readers that read the first book, they would be coming back and helping boosting your numbers on the second campaign.
Right. It's almost like thinking about a pebble rolling down the. Yeah, like a snowball rolling down the hill and just grabbing more and more snow. You know,
the trick there is not to let too much time lapse in between the two. That's the key. If you can get like at max 1.5 year difference between the two volumes, that's enough time where people will be like, oh, here's the second one. I'm ready to go for it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people who put it out every month and they kind of do well, but can only go so far before they hit their capita. So to have well-spaced, give people enough time to read it, word of mouth, things of that nature, and then you launch the second campaign, you know, that gives you a little bit more. So, you know, you're not basically, you know, because if it was available now, people just buy it now and that's one shot and it's done. You know, whereas the second campaign, it could grow bigger because it's building off the first one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I wouldn't rush.
Going back to your question, Keith, on like why I have this pairing. So that's why I call it just volume 1, because it's not like exactly issues 1 and 2. I think part of that was I wanted to make sure that when readers got it, that they could go through it and it's fulfilling still. So they don't feel like they got half a story, you know? Gotcha. And it almost took me like 2 issues to like be able to get an all right arc where I feel like I delivered on that. So how would you balance that?
It's tough because like, I would say I would recommend checking out like, you know, just like look at first issue of comics of writers that you like and just see like how much heavy lifting is done in the first issue of anything, like and just how they give you enough info that you know what's going on, but they also going to leave you with that little cliffhanger, that little sting at the very end of the issue to make you want to come back for more. Like I don't know. I mean, trying to think of issues that, you know, that affected me like that, or like I needed the next one immediately, you know.
Preacher was like that for me.
Preacher, that's a great first issue. And some it's of the just them. If you think about it too, it's just the 3 of them sitting in that diner talking about different aspects of what's going on, but it sets up every little thing that you need to know about the series, and then it kind of, you know, sets you off on that journey right at the end of it, which is perfect. I agree with you, Johnny. I think that's a great first issue to study.
I can point to one I read today that's brand spanking new.
What's that?
I've talked about it before. They actually announced it at New York Comic Con, and I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to this book. It's Avengers Twilight. And it's basically.
Oh, I read that too. Wasn't that great?
Good is that issue?
Really good. It's really good.
It was so good. And the way it ends, it's like that's a perfect setup. Now I can't wait for the next issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Out this week.
So I highly recommend that issue 1 is a good way to set up a story, you know?
2 is out this Wednesday, by the way, Johnny.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would say Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that just came out that's lighting the industry on fire right now. It's a great first issue. Spider-Man's not even in the outfit until the very last panel. But did Jonathan Hickman set up everything so well in that story and it's so compelling up until the, you know. So if you study any of that stuff, I highly recommend it.